Namaste and welcome viewers to a brand new episode of Mirror Prime. I'm Ashish Pareek. A Mahindra Thar today turned Noida streets into a danger zone as a reckless driver sped on the wrong side, hitting over half a dozen vehicles in Sector 16. The visuals on his screens is of course showing what really happened. The shocking incident caught on camera has gone viral, once again highlighting India's wrong side driving menace. Despite strict laws, wrong lane driving remains a silent killer on Indian roads. In 2023 alone, Delhi recorded 59,573 violations, while 1,500 to 2,000 people die every single year due to this reckless behavior alone. Gurgaon saw 2,500 offenders fined 25 lakh just last month, yet violations continue as if nothing happened. The fines are capped at just 5,000 rupees. So the big question, is India now being too lenient on rogue drivers? Should we move towards license suspensions, harsher penalties, or even jail time for repeat offenders? Because let's be honest, wrong side driving is a suicide mission. A person who's driving on the wrong side knows that he's not just putting his own life at risk, but also the life of someone else who has absolutely nothing to do with the recklessness of the driver. Poor enforcement, lack of awareness, and reckless road culture fuel this crisis that continues in India. In fact, as this traffic terror continues, what's the real fix? Jail, lifetime bans, or stricter laws? That's the big question on the show today. Joining us, a panel of experts. And right now, first up, let me introduce Shail Sinha, CEO of the Traffic People Foundation from Gurgaon. Mr. Shailesh, and also Anurag Kulshrestha is also joining us, founder president of the TRAX Society, road safety NGO. Shailesh, I'll start with you now. What's the fix to this? We continue to talk about this issue, wrong side driving, but the reality is the fine, the penalty that a person pays maximum is 5,000 rupees for an act like this. And well, it's a bailable offense as well. So clearly, the penalty that's in place is just not enough to ensure that it acts as a deterrent.
See, it's getting, dangerous day by day. The kind of vehicles which are coming on the roads and the kind of mindset what drivers are having, they're practically, there's no match to it, right? And we are actually in the zone of proving our driving skills. And that too on the cost of the people using the roads. Because if I'm doing a wrong way or I'm doing a overspeed, that simply means I'm kind of in the zone to kill somebody. This needs to be taken really seriously, number one. The government needs to be just not putting penalties on a higher side, but they have to be stricter in a way, not only just closing of the licenses, or giving a 6 months of imprisonment or 25,000 rupees of challan. These are not the things which will actually deter people to stop these things. The point is that the administration, the authorities, they need to be very, very stricter in terms of implementing the rules. If there is a slight bit of even offense, because understand, a vehicle is a weapon if not used right. A vehicle is a weapon if not used right. And overspeeding, wrong way driving, jumping of red lights, these all are the offenses which a vehicle driver is doing. Just because he knows that he would be safe, nobody would be able to harm him. See, understand, he is safe for himself, but he is harming so many people, so many dreams, so many lives on the road. So number one, the strictness has to be there. Just putting a figure that we are challaning 25,000 rupees would not work. You need to be really on the road as administration, right? And second of all is, my vehicle is my responsibility. Understand this very, very, very seriously. Responsible behavior is one thing which, if corrected, there will be no accidents. I'm telling you, even if the way is a longer, and a wrong way driving is putting my route shorter, so I should still go for a longer version of my route, because that's my responsible behavior. So India needs to wake up to the call that yes, responsible behavior needs to be implemented, inculcated in a person's, human psyche in a bigger way, so that accidents are not happening. Nobody is taking, law so lightly. And end of the day, it's all, if you'll see the figures also, more than 60% of accidents happens because of irresponsible behavior. So stricter and responsible, two things are the things which, if corrected right, India would see a beautiful,
All right.
experiences on the road rather than this kind of blood shedding. You getting my point? So this needs to be taken very
Right.
seriously across the nation.
Mr. Anurag Kulshrestha. Right, Shailesh, I'll take this point across to Anurag now. Anurag, where does the buck stop? What is the change that we need to do? So clearly, the fact that 5,000 rupees is being charged, there's a threat of being jailed as well. Yes, the person gets out of the jail in a matter of minutes or even hours. But the reality is, whatever system is in place right now, it's just not working. Now, Shailesh here tells me that we need to change the psyche of the people to understand, so that they understand the importance of responsible driving. But the problem is, Shailesh, we can't go around taking classes to everyone that has a driving license. There has to be some sort of a streamlined process that's put in place to ensure that people who have a license, who have a car, who have a vehicle. 1 second, Shailesh, you spoke. Let me take this point across to Anurag. Let's also have other guests also speaking. Anurag, what's the fix? What needs to be done?
Yeah.
To be very frank, nobody can change the psyche directly, because this is a process. And as per the law of probability, a person has to have the fear of law to be caught in time. Till the moment we are not unable to do that, I'm just giving you an example. In Sweden, I met one transport secretary over there, and interestingly, he has told me very clearly that we are having just 40% working cameras and 60% fake cameras on our road. Means they have created a fear in the people's mind that yes, every after 1 kilometer somebody is watching. Second thing, stricter or the stringent punishment that should be there, because this punishment must be at a higher side. Second thing, and then the last one is political will, because we don't have political will. This is the only class who is the full policy maker, and the maximum they are violating the traffic rules just because of some VIP nature or VIP culture. And second thing, our police system, the administrator, who is enforcing this law or the type of laws in our country, they themselves, almost 90% themselves, they are not following the rules and regulations. This is a culture. And second, and in our movies, I'm coming to the point of provocators, because one is the policymaker who are not willing to do that, and another one is the enforcers. They themselves are not following the traffic rules and regulations. Third point is coming to the provocators. You can see in the different movies, different serials, they are showcasing the violation of traffic rules.
Anurag, by that
very
logic, you
clearly.
look at how many Hollywood movies actually have cars flying, bikes flying. By that logic, it should be happening the most in the US. I mean, people fly cars and bikes more in Hollywood than in Bollywood. So by that logic, it should be happening more in America. But the reality is it doesn't.
I'm coming to that point. There's a movie in a Fast and Furious, and other movies are there, no doubt. Vehicles are flying over there, but there is a clear law. In India also, there's a simple guideline. Till the moment, it's a guideline of Ministry of I&D. Till the moment there's no demand of the story, you cannot portray the violation of traffic rules. This is clear guideline, but there's no specification. And there's no implementation of that particular guideline in our India. In rest of the countries, like the developed countries, they are having the very clear specifications, because we're doing the speeding, rash driving, then your face expressions, changing the gear possibilities, pressing this accelerator again and again. This all type of things are the showcasing of the violation. Second thing, what type of demand of story? Demand of the story, yes, your wife has been kidnapped, your father is in a real trauma, somebody has met an accident. Yeah, it's maybe a demand of story. And demand of story, it's a movie for the Fast and Furious. Then it's the demand of the story. But ultimate law, ultimate result, they have
Anurag
been
Kulshrestha, it's very fascinating how every time we have a conversation on this topic, you come up with a completely different angle that actually takes me by surprise. And I'm sure even Hormaz would be wondering if he ever thought about this angle also being one of the responsible reasons. But Hormaz, on a serious note, let's talk about the reality of it. The problem is in India, you see a lot of people talking about the safety ratings of cars, the safety ratings of different vehicles, and a minimum rating that they need to ensure that they are safe. But the problem is, these are the same people, regardless of which car they use, they're driving on the wrong side, they're violating all sorts of traffic rules. So at the end of the day, should there be some sort of a consideration? Should the drivers also have some sort of a safety rating to ensure that from far away I'm able to tell whether this person is in the right state of mind to drive a car? Because that really seems to be the need of the hour.
Well, I think honestly, I think you've said it. Safety ratings are there for cars. They're not there for drivers. And it takes me back to the root cause of a lot of the reasons why we have accidents is a really poor driving test.
Correct.
I think our driving test is so lax that it absolutely starts it over there. I think if we have a stringent driving test, you would really weed out the really bad drivers. Now, what we saw over here was really bad attitude and let's say a total recklessness, a total disregard for safety. Once you just get your license, it kind of gives you a license to do anything and even license to kill, to be honest. So I think along with a super strict driving test, which should possibly be the most stringent in the world. Today, to get a license in a place like the UK, I mean, people fail about 8 out of 10 times. It's very, very difficult. That should be the same case over here.
Hormaz, just to add on a question, the current driving mechanism that we have, the approval system to get a license, when was this formulated? Do you think it's outdated now, given the sort of highways and the roads and the expressways that we have?
It is outdated. It is, but even if we followed what was already there, it would be a start. But I think, you have to be doing proper driving tests where a person has to drive in multiple scenarios, especially things like something simple like keeping your lane. That's probably the most flouted rule today. Who has right of way in the roundabout? People don't even know that. In a roundabout, it's absolutely free for all. The right thing is the person in the roundabout has the right of way. So when you're entering a roundabout, if the vehicle is over there, you have to wait until the vehicle passes. These are all basics. I mean, they've been there for decades. This is simple, driving etiquette and rules. But coming to another point is, I think the penalties have to be far more stringent. I think licenses have to be taken away for 2 to 3 years. I think you have to do something draconian, unfortunately, because earlier, as one of the panelists said, is you have to change the state of mind or the psyche. You can't do that. I mean, it'll take a minimum of a generation to change the psyche of people. And, we need to do something immediate and drastic. And I think the driving test is something one needs to absolutely focus on. And then after that is have stricter insurance.
Absolutely. Very interesting point that you mentioned there. Shailesh, you want to respond to that because clearly our two other panelists do realize and are of the opinion that it will take forever, at least a generation, to ensure that people are in the right frame of mind. The psyche is such that responsible driving is prioritized. So what's the quick fix? Is it suspension of license? Is it harsher penalty? What's the fix?
Harsher penalties, yes, it has to be there and it should be there. People need to be fearing the law, number two. And yes, the authorities, the administration needs to be more visible on the roads and they need to be in the zone that they are setting examples that yes, they are also wearing seat belts. Some panelists also said over the show that 90% of these VIPs, politicians and these administrators also, they're not following rules because of their own power zone. So it all, it's a conglomerative effort and it would definitely take generations to change the psyche of the people, but it should start. I mean, if I think that, this is a seed, this is a mango seed or whatever seed, if I'll plant it, the fruit would be 25 years down the line. But I need to do it. My point is this. It needs to be there in the psyche of the kids. I mean, the kids who are developing as a future drivers of the nation, they need to be taught that why it is important to be right on the road, why it is important to have respect for everyone on the road. It would definitely take generations for change, but it needs to start. Understand one thing very clearly, that human race has been there since few thousand years, right? And these automobile technologies, what we are seeing is exactly 20-25 years of age. If we see it right ways, right? We have started seeing faster cars after 2001 or maybe 1997-98. This is the year where we started seeing the change from Ambassador Fiats to, you know, other cars. Honda came into being, and other brands also came into being. So we have actually evolved over 1,000 years, but technology has evolved only in 25 years. So our mind setup has not been able to match with the technology, which is, you know, a creation of a scientist or a mechanical engineer. So it is all about right balancing. Right balancing would only be brought through education, through responsible behavior. Understand very, very basic thing that national integration.
But the thing is, even the roads have changed
character
in the last 25 years. Even
India
the
winning
technology
champions
has
trophy.
changed
That's one part of
in the
it.
last 25 years.
Let me complete.
And
Let me complete.
Mr. Anurag, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, what happens because some panelists has discussed about this with licensing system and all. Interestingly, I'm telling you one fact. During last 10 years, our minister is announcing again and again to finalize almost 600 IDTR centers in India. Just 20 centers has been opened till now during last 20 years. And next, I think it will take 100 of years. It's a law of probability. We have to address 140 crore people. Everyone is the road user in India. Maybe as a pedestrian, maybe as a biker, maybe a cyclist. So we can't focus only on a system of like cars and cars and cars. About all the policies are driven by the car system. Fact is this, is almost 35 to 38% bikers are dying on our roads. Why are we not focusing on the bikers' death? In Delhi, 50% pedestrians are killed. It's just because of the fault of the infrastructure. Clearly, 80% zebra crossings are blocked at median or the edge of the
Anurag,
road.
do you think even if the government had half the excitement that it has when it comes to phasing out 15-year-old vehicles in ensuring that at least people who are driving cars are safe, do you think even if they had half of that enthusiasm, people would be much more safer on the roads?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very valid point. See, see, government needs to take a big plunge on this circuit. See, India has teaching infrastructure. Schools are there, colleges are there, corporate houses are there. We can create a system where, you know, traffic safety education is being implemented even in the corporate sectors also, where people are working, right? So it is just that implementation has to start from the authorities. Authority is government. Government, if they take even 50% of interest, as you said, the way they did for 15 and 10 years old cars, definitely there'll be a humongous change, I'm telling you. It's all about the initiative. It's all about, am I, as an Indian, working towards safety of everyone on the road. It's not only my route, it's everyone else's route also. Everyone
Absolutely.
has to be respected for their journey. This is the psyche. I mean, it would take generations, but it has to start. That's it. That's what my point is. Gee.
One more.
Absolutely. Hormazd, before we wrap up, a couple of minutes left on the broadcast, Hormazd, I really need to understand this because this is something that I actually wonder about quite a lot. Roads have changed, roads have become better, technology has changed, it has become better, the vehicles, the safety ratings, everything has become better. Yet, every single year, the number of road accidents continue to increase. Where are we going wrong? What's the use of having such technology, such huge road network, when we still can't ensure that the number of people that die every single year, at least it's brought under control? It's almost like we are pumping in so much money into everything to ensure that more and more people die every year.
So I think I can sum it up in one thing which has happened is that with better cars, more powerful cars, and better roads, the speeds have gone up dramatically. Now, when speeds go up, that is the biggest killer because your reaction time is limited, and your reaction time is what counts in between having an accident and not having an accident.
Correct. All right, Hormazd, there seemed to be some sort of a network issue there. Shailesh, I want you to continue that point that Hormazd was making. All right, we seem to have Hormazd back on the broadcast. Hormazd, continue.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So I think it's all about driver
The
skill.
reaction
I
time is
can't
one thing which
emphasize.
also needs to be taught.
Yes, it has to be taught. I mean,
Hormaz,
driver
go
training,
ahead.
driver
There is some
skill.
sort of a delay. Go ahead.
Yeah, driver skill, driver training, it's super, super important because I'll tell you the point is that, today, even in a dangerous situation with the right driving, you can survive. Last monsoon, I did a drive to Mahabaleshwar, middle of the night, in fog, in rain, on the worst possible road, which is NH 66. And with the right defensive driving approach, you can tackle everything. So at the end of the day, it is the driver. You can blame the road, you can blame anything you want, but a smart driver, a sensible driver, driver who drives with a defensive approach can even be safe from any obstacle. So again, all this can happen. The simplest way to really reduce road accidents is drivers training, driver, more and more. And I think, even linking driver skills to insurance, a rating where a driver who's had minimal accidents or passes a very stringent test, he gets a benefit in terms of insurance. So some sort of a reward for kind of, really upskilling himself as a driver.
Absolutely. That's a very interesting point you made, Hormaz. And the other angle of this is that, Anurag, the problem is, yes, drivers need to be better. There needs to be better technology as well. But the reality is, Anurag, when a person decides to drive on the wrong side of the road, that person basically, if you put it bluntly, is on a suicide mission. That person knows that either his life or the life of someone else that's coming on the road, incoming traffic, is at risk. So,
No, no,
how
he's a
does
killer.
this
He's an
need to be
absolute
dealt
killer.
with when it comes to criminal laws? It's manslaughter. It's not an accident. Anything that happens after wrong driving is not an accident. Anurag, it needs to be termed as a murder.
Actually, to be very frank, our all these violations are governed by the MV Act. In different developed countries, these are the criminal laws. We have to treat all these things like a crime. Till the moment, like pedestrian movement is not covered by the our MV Act. Second thing, the penalty system, because we don't have the unified licensing system throughout India. If you are cancelling my license in Delhi, I will take a second license from Nagaland or from this nearby state, my Haryana. I can take the license. So this is not the solution. First solution, unified licensing system must be there. And I think we all have forgotten one thing. When the implementation of this motor vehicle amendment law was there around 4 years back, everybody has started following the traffic rules and regulations because of 20,000 penalty, 1 lakhs penalty, 3 lakhs penalty, when it is publicized by the media widely, then everybody was having the fear of law. Second thing, I'm coming to the point because our infrastructure everywhere. If you remember the words of our Mr. Gadkari, Honorable Minister, he clearly mentioned number of times that our engineers are not giving us the proper road network, proper infrastructure. That's why accidents are increasing. Yes, I'm saying very sincerely that this our road network is pro-accident everywhere in India. We don't have on our highways proper cuts, proper merging, proper diversion. Nowhere in India. It's a simple SOP. There are rules and regulations set by the IRC, Indian Road Congress. What type of merging must be there, what type of diversions must be there. What we are doing, we are so innocent people. From the 3-lane roads, we are just opening one 5-lane expressway. This is our mindset.
Anurag, I
I don't know
think
what
the
type of
bottom
engineering
line
we do have.
here, and I'm sure our other two panelists will agree with that as well, is the fact that I think it's high time we stop calling wrong side driving as a violation. It's basically a crime. The people who do it are basically criminals and they need to be tried in that manner as well if we actually need to get done with this sort of a behavior which costs not just the life of the driver but also of the innocent motorists coming in from the other side of the road. All right, Hormaz Sarabji, Shail Sinha and also Anurag Kulshrestha, really appreciate you joining us on the broadcast here. And viewers, on that note is a wrap on this edition of the broadcast. Lots more line up on the other side. Stay tuned.